Trucks back again. Welcome to number 2. This is part 2 of our massive video account we're going to start doing. I am the athletic director and president of Trucks Training, and I got a lot to say, and I'm going to be coming out with a whole bunch more of these videos. So to get into it, this next video is going to be a 3-part video. So the different levels I'm going to touch on. One is program design. In the first video I talked a little bit about what we do, how it's different, how you need a program, but I didn't really go in depth in terms of what a program is. The next part of the video is going to be based on what I call the YouTube trainers, the individuals who water down my industry, who make my job harder, and it makes me somewhat a little offset in terms of my feelings towards it, because there's things that I do that definitely benefit people, but people get in touch with bad trainers, they get bad experiences, and next thing you know, they got a bad taste in their mouth for my field. So I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant when that time comes. It'll be a one to watch out for. I don't know what I'm going to say now, but it'll come out when it needs to. Third part's going to be going a little bit more into to speed work. So in this series of videos, I'm going to talk about different things. I'm going to intro with some of the stuff I'm talking about now, more of the concepts. Then I'll get into more of the training concepts. I am a trainer. I do sport-specific stuff, work in fitness here and there. But at the end of the day, there's a difference between speed work and what it is, and definitely what it is not, and how the public and most people are duped by the mass media in terms of what you see and thinking it's speed work. So with no further ado, moving into program design. I got some notes on a sheet of paper here I'm going to kind of go to here and there. So if you see me look down, I'm kind of looking at those different notes. But we're going to go into what's called program design. Program design is the roadmap. If you're going to be driving in a car, you want to know where you're going. You want to make sure that where you're going is going to lead you to your destination, or at least where you want to get to. So when it comes to a program, you've got to know the steps, the phases, everything you need to know, and it takes scientific knowledge to break that down when you're working with the body. The body's a tool that you got to know how to use. And when it comes to training, a lot of people simply have their athletes come in, they start doing workouts, whatever it may be, and they don't really touch on what's necessary. The first off, we're going to move into something where you got to have an understanding of the body. You got to know how you're working with it. You got to be able to see things. And so when I bring my athletes in, we go through either assessment or test. And there is a difference between an assessment and a test. A test is seeing how far, how fast, whatever you can do, get a number. An assessment is seeing how the body works. See how the deficiencies are. If a joint has no range of motion, if their hamstrings are tight, their hip flexors are weak, those kind of things. You got to be able to see those in an assessment, but a test won't show those things. So first off, make sure with somebody who can create an assessment or see an assessment of you and be able to make a program design on that. But the biggest thing is having a goal, having a mindset to fix everything, because not everybody is the same person. So if you come with a workout and you're not working on teaching different people different coaching points because they do things differently than the next person, you have no program and walking nowhere. Concept of something is better than nothing. I hear it all the time. Well, at least my kid's doing something as opposed to sitting on the couch. Halfway true, not completely true. If you're going to do something and you're trying to really get yourself better and you're serious about it, you got to have a plan. You can't just do something. There are different phases, which I go into now, that are very big on how you develop as an athlete over time. And if you don't take precedence with those different phases and make sure you're very serious about how you develop them, you're not going to get anywhere. Part of what we do is based on what's called energy system development, and the way your nervous system fires your body. And through the phase you change through, those things are definitely a huge determinant of how progressed you'll get during your off-season training. So we'll go into that in a second. So something is not always better than nothing. The next part is we're not in the 70s. In the 70s, we were kind of easing into doing the training stuff. A lot of people didn't know a whole lot about it. Some of the basics obviously still stay around, but the whole concept of no pain, no gain is not that prevalent. We know more about the body, how it operates, how it adapts, how it works, and so there's a lot of training information out there. The difference in terms of what I gather from the training information, from the books and the articles and things I read, is I have a degree, I have certifications that allow me, from an education standpoint, to know what I'm reading, and I can find the holes and stuff. Any person who is uneducated has no clue what they're looking for, and then when they're looking at something and be lost, and there's a concept that is real simple. You don't know what you don't know. If you don't know, you don't know it. Ignorance is bliss. If you don't know about something, you have no idea it doesn't exist. You have no idea what you're missing in a sense. So when it comes to that concept, go search and find good information. That's basically it. When it goes to the phases, each sport, no matter what sport you play, has some of the same 4 different phases to work through. One's hypertrophy, mass gain. The next one's going to be strength gain, or simple max strength. The next one's going to be power, which is rate of force development, how fast you can exert force and move weight. The last one's conditioning, a simple base. So in each sport you have, you got to make sure you go through the different phases your sport needs. If you're a volleyball player, obviously you don't need to get big, but you need strength because strength ties into power. And if you have more strength, you can create more power. You can jump higher. Same with basketball. Even sprinting, if you have more strength, we'll go into speed work. If you have more strength, you can get there faster because you have the ability to have your body be lighter in terms of what your body's relationship to your legs are. If your legs have more strength, upper body is lighter, you can move faster. But it's all based on also mechanics, which we'll talk about later on. Bad plan. If you have no plan, it's as bad as having a bad plan. Someone can say they have a sheet of paper. I wrote my workout down for the day. Okay, well, you work your workout down for the day. Where's this workout fit in the scheme of your 3-month plan or your 6-month plan? And, what is your roadmap? And if you got a workout written down for the day that leads you nowhere, it's the same as having no plan. It's kind of the same concept as if I want to go from 1st grade to 5th grade, I'm not going to skip every grade in between just because I want to get there quicker. You got to make sure you take the steps to adequately, safely get you to the next level, and so that way you're not at 5th grade forgetting stuff or not even learn stuff you needed when you were in 2nd and 3rd grade, so you forgot and missed out on stuff. So making sure you have a good plan as opposed to no plan at all is a huge aspect to it. Football. Become a football guy. I'm going to go heavily into football right now. So I was a guy with the NFL Combine, played in the NFL, played in college, so there is something I'm going to go into, and I'm just going to kind of touch on one sport and one aspect of off-season training. Football players are my heart, it's what I do. At the end of the day, I train everybody, but I always have a little bit of, a love for the football guys. And the off-season program for what they do is one of the most intricate. We have to train like bodybuilders, we got to lift like powerlifters, Olympic lifters, we got to sprint like sprinters and be conditioned like, marathon runners. It's so many different phases that it's hard to create that perfect athlete. And athletes who come to training programs, whether they're here, actually got a question about a guy from Oregon, because I'm Oregon guy, so I got an email from my last video through Facebook, and the question was, I have a trainer up here, we do some cool cone drills, we're always out there working, we're dying, sweating, and it's good work, I feel like I'm getting a great workout. And for me, my question was, well, when are you doing this? And when are you getting your max max strength work? When are you getting your hypertrophy work? When are you doing those phases? And he was oblivious to even what I was speaking about, which means his trainer did not coach him through what he needed to. His trainer had no clue about it. This will be the next video we go into, but you've got to have a plan for phasing. So, for example, football. December, January, you're working on joint integrity, stability. The body just came out of season. It's pretty degraded. We got to work and get the body back sound again. We got to strengthen the joints back up, get the body recovered and healed. From there, if you want to gain weight for football, obviously the bigger, stronger, faster athlete who's in better condition wins games. I mean, you're going to blow people over. You can outrun them all day long, and you're stronger, more powerful. How do you create the athlete? If you're simply running around cones all day long and running in a small little space and doing quick stuff, you're not allowing the body to get the chance it needs to gain muscle mass. And you can't do that. You can do it before the season, but if you do it before the season, your body hasn't adapted to that movement weight. You're going to be starting to move and have problems with possibly injuring yourself because odds are you're inflexible, you haven't worked on range of motion, and you've just been looking at bodybuilder magazines creating bigger muscle. Not the most beneficial for you. If you're going to do mass gain, you do it as far away from the season as possible. It allows your body ample time to adapt to that weight. Once you got that mass size, doesn't mean you're strong. Some of the biggest guys you'll see at the gym are not always the strongest guys. I was usually smaller than most guys, but the next phase I go into is I have a muscle mass. I have that bigger muscle. I have what's called a bigger cross-sectional fiber. I now have the potential to increase my strength because I have more muscle mass to produce force with. It's a concept I actually heard from a guy I follow. You can't flex bone. So if you have no muscle, you can't work on flexing it. From there, the next phase is now that I've got that big muscle, I've made it stronger, I can go into a phase of teach that muscle how to fire quickly. It's called rate of force development. It's where my power work comes into. So I'm going through a max effort phase of pushing weight. Now I go into more, we call Olympic lifts, explosive stuff, dynamic movements, pushing, throwing, turning, getting stuff to pop. So that big, strong muscle has a higher rate of force it can develop through. The next phase goes into conditioning. So I'm going to take that muscle and build stamina to it. All the while, I'm easing in what you would call your speed, your agility, your plyometric work. If you're going to be working on hypertrophy, if you run a whole lot every day, all day, your body doesn't have enough energy unless you eat a bunch, which most high school kids don't eat enough, to actually pack on the muscle mass like it needs to. You do have to have a conditioning base, but it's highly modified. If you do too much in terms of movement stuff and sprints, agility, in a time when you got to work on your size, your hypertrophy, your muscle mass, it's hard to do. It's somewhat impossible. If you go to max strength, do the same thing. If you are running like you're supposed to run in summertime, deck in January and February, you're cutting out on crucial times for your body as a football player to develop the size and the strength it needs. So you got to have a plan moving forward, especially when it comes to football. So with that, it's something where my concept is, if you don't follow a plan, you don't have a program designed, whether it's for baseball, softball, whatever sport you play or fitness, if you don't have a plan, you're walking blindly. It's like driving a car in the dark. You're just going to end up somewhere, not sure where, hoping you're going to get the gains you need to get. But that's where you got to step back and say, okay, what is it that I'm doing right now that can be bettered? Or what am I doing today that's going to affect myself 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now? What steps am I taking? That's what my job is. That's what I do daily. And one thing that I like to touch on with my athletes is, if I'm going to be a guy who wants to prepare myself for football season next year, I don't want to show up next season the same guy I was the year before, but in better shape. When I mean better shape, I mean being able to have a better conditioning base. I can run longer. If I can't run longer and hit harder or sprint faster or be more explosive, then I've just wasted a year of my time. Your downtime for football is highly predicated on how big, strong you get. Because the bigger you get, the stronger you get, the better ability you have to now produce force and be a better athlete. Because if a coach wants to have that good athlete, he's going to have a guy the next year who is bigger, stronger, faster, and that's the guy I want in shape. I don't want the weak guy, the skinny guy from last year. I want the bigger guy to be able to run 100 yards all day long and never get tired. That's who I want as a coach done in my team, on my team, and making plays, because that guy will. And the kind of work that you put in, knowing you had a plan, you feel confident, you feel safe knowing I put in the work that was necessary to get myself to a better position in terms of playing for the next year. So with that said, part 1 of 3 down. Got a lot more coming. This is just the tip of the iceberg, I promise you. Next time we're going to go more into the YouTube trainers. For you guys, it's not to bash more so on guys outside of myself. It's kind of a call to action. There's a lot more that you can do to help your clients, and I feel like you're not doing it. And I feel like you're undercutting things that a guy like myself is fighting to make happen in this world of fitness and the world of sports training, but it's being undermined daily. And it's somewhere I want to step back and say, okay, how can I help the public? How can I educate the client who has no idea? So there's a lot of stuff going to come in that one. That'll be here in a couple days, so I'll stop talking about it now. Besides that, if you have any questions, feel free to comment on any area. I put this on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you see it. Comment on it. If you want to send me an email, email's atrucks@truckstraining.com, or call me at the office, 925-756-7321. With that said, thank you, take care, have a great day.